trapezoids, rhombi, and kite, as I said, there's only 2 formulas, even though we got 3 shapes, so it makes it a little bit easier. Again, though, one of the formulas on the formula sheet, one of them is not. So we're going to start with trapezoids. This formula is on your formula sheet. It is the one that working backwards is a little more work to it, but most of the time, this one is not a formula that people have trouble with. The biggest thing I will tell you is that you're going to have to be careful because it has addition and multiplication in it. So you got to be careful what you do in what order. So here we go. The formula for the area of a trapezoid is going to be 1/2 times the height times base 1 plus base 2. And those base 1 and base 2 have to be in parentheses. Now those parentheses mean that we have to do this addition before we do any multiplication. So I'm going to suggest a path for you to do that so that you don't type it wrong. A lot of people get this wrong if they try to type the whole thing all together. Your calculator will do parentheses, but most people struggle with using them on there. Okay, so it's based on 1/2 times this height right here times base 1 and base 2. Now base 1, base 2, it doesn't matter what order you put those in, just as long as you get the 2 bases in there. So if when we look at this picture right here, we're going to start off with area equals, and it's going to be 1/2 times the height, which in this picture, the height is unique because the height, the thing that's at a right angle with your 2 bases, remember the bases are the ones that are parallel to each other, so the 6 and 9 are the bases. This piece that is right angled to those bases is actually also your side length. So your height can be your side length, but only if it's at a right angle to the bases. So in this case, that height is 4, so times 4 times base 1 plus base 2. It makes no difference what order you go in. I'm going to go 1, 2 on this one, so it's going to be 6 plus 9. I'll go 2, 1 on this one just to show you it works the same way. Now, again, the order matters how you do this, and you're going to have to turn a fraction into a decimal on some of them, so we got to show you how to do that. So here we go. 6 plus 9 is what you need to start with. I suggest you go ahead and do 6 plus 9. Tell me what the answer to that is. 15. And then you can type it straight across. 1/2 times 4 times 15. Tell us what you get. 30. And what would the unit be since we're doing area? Meters squared. Meters squared. Ma'am? Absolutely. Clear it out. Do 1 fraction button 2 times 4 times 15 equals, and that should give you 30. You good now? Thank you for asking. Anybody else? Guys, please ask. If you don't know how to type it, it's not going to matter on the day of the test. So thank you for asking. Okay, on this next one, our height happens to be in the middle. Most of the time it will be in the middle. Every once in a while you'll see one where that height is actually your side length too. But if that right angle right here is inside of it, that'll be your height. So in this case, it'll be area equals 1/2 times the height, which is 8.4, times base 1 plus base 2. Again, base 1 and 2, it doesn't matter what order you go in. I'll put the second one first just so you can see it doesn't matter. 6.3 plus 11.8. Add those 2 bases. It doesn't matter which one comes first. 18 point what when you add them? 1? Okay, when you add these 2 together, you're going to get 18.1. And again, I strongly recommend you add those completely separate from doing anything else. Strongly recommend you do that. So when you do that, then you're going to type in that 1/2 times 8.4 times 18.1 equals. Now remember, you got to round back to 1 decimal place. In the case it gives you more, 1 decimal place for final answers here. So what is that going to be? 76 even? 76.02. Oh, thank you for mentioning that. 76.02. It is an unusual rounding one. We got a 0 here with a 2 after it, so it'll stay the same, and it'll just be 76 meters squared. Thank you for mentioning that. That's a good thing to talk about. It does round a little strange, so good one to look at. Okay, questions, concerns, anything before we move on to rhombi and kites? I'm going to do all the forward first, then I'll do the backwards, guys. I think the backwards are going to be a little more challenging I'm also going to do some with special right triangles in them at the end to make sure you mention that, make sure you remember those. And don't forget, you can also use Pythagorean theorem. You'll see that on the homework as well. We've seen that a lot, so it's not in here. I focused on the special right triangles because y'all seem to have more trouble with that. Okay, here we go. So, rhombi and kites. Now this is a rhombus. This is a kite. They both have diagonals that go through them. The formula is going to be based on those diagonals. The formula for the area is going to be 1/2 times diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. The way that we write that is going to be 1/2 d1 d2. 1/2 d1 d2. 1/2 d1 d2. All right. We're going to use that formula to plug into both these. The one thing you got to be careful about is these pieces right here are not the diagonal. This is just one part of the diagonal. If it labels just this part of it, remember that in a rhombus, the diagonals bisect each other. So if this piece right here is 6, then this piece over here is also going to be 6, which means the diagonal all the way across is actually going to be 12. Same thing here. If this is 4, this is going to be 4, which means this diagonal all the way across is actually going to be 8. Perfect. Okay, questions, concerns, anything? Okay, so to do the formula for this, it'd be area equals 1/2 times, and it does not make any difference which one you put first. I'll do the top one first and then do it the other way on the other one. This would be 1/2 times 12 times 8. Since it's all multiplication, it makes no difference what you do. You just type it all the way across. 1/2 times 12 times 8.
48.
48. Perfect. Y'all agree? Okay, perfect. And there it is, 48 meters squared. Concerns, questions, anything about that? Anything right here? Okay, here we go. Example number 4. We're going to be using that same formula. Now it does give us more on this one. It gives us both the pieces. Notice in a kite, this is bisected, so these are the same, but remember in a kite, these two are not. So it's going to be, this distance right here is going to be the 4.3 plus the 6.5. What's that give you? 10.8. And then going this way, they are going to be the same, so the 3.1 and the 3.1 is going to give you 6.2. Now, when you use these in a formula, the formula is going to be, Ken, what are you doing, sweetie? Join us. Come on. You're writing down. You're getting this done. You got to be with us. It's going to be 1/2. Again, I did the top one first last time. I'm going to do this one this time. We'll go 6.2 times 10, if I could write a 10, 10.8. 1/2, 6.2, 10.8. Alright. Now, final answer has got it rounded to 1 decimal place, so multiply it out and see what you get rounded to 1 decimal place.
5.
Which one do y'all think it is, 4 or 5?
It's 5.
It is 5. You have to round up. 34.5, and that'd be meters squared. Okay. Now those are the direct ones. Those are the easy ones. That's what most of your homework will be. 30. Oh, yeah. I apologize. Y'all said 4 and 5, so I took that and wrote it down. I apologize. Let's get that fixed. 33.5. Thank you. There you go. So I was saying 33.4 or 33.5, and I said then I used 3, 4, 5. Okay, guys. Now these are the direct ones. These are the ones that are pretty straightforward. This is what a lot of what will be on your homework will be. However, you will have ones with special cases, and you will have ones that you have to work backwards on. So we're going to do the backwards ones first, and then we'll talk about the ones that are special right triangle problems. So, starting off with on the work backwards problems. When you have a work backwards problems, the very first thing you need to write down is the formula. Okay, we're talking about a kite. What is the formula for a kite? Diagonal 1, diagonal 2. D1, D2, you can say it either way. Diagonal 1, diagonal 2, or D1, D2. Doesn't matter. Okay. From there, you're gonna plug in everything you know. You already know the area. It's different. We don't know the area most of the time. The area in this case is 92, so that's gonna go where the A is. The 1/2 is just a regular number. It's gonna stay 1/2. It does not matter which diagonal you put as the missing one, but I put it right next to this number because I'm gonna multiply it, the one that I know. My diagonal that I know is 22. The one I don't know is just going to stay whatever it's called, diagonal 2 or diagonal 1. It doesn't matter which one you plug it into. Now guys, this is regular mathematics. You're just going to solve this equation by multiplying these together first. If you multiply 92 equals, and you multiply half of 22. What's half of 22? 11. I can't say the second, D2. What do you do to undo multiplication? Divide. Perfect. Now, because it's in your problem, and you're going to a final answer for this last thing, the last answer is always to 1 decimal place. So what is that to 1 decimal place? 8.4? Okay. And if it's 8.4, ooh, here's a good question. What is the unit on that?
Inches.
Just inches. Why is it just inches?
Because it's not an area.
It's not an area, it's the diagonal. And the diagonal is just a regular old distance. That's good, guys. It is just regular old inches because this is not the area. This is actually the diagonal in it. Good. Okay, so try the next one on your own. I'm going to let you set that one up and try that one. Check a little homework while you do that. Okay. If you get an answer, compare with the people around you. See if they've got the same thing. Hey, there's no work on this. So I told you I have to see at least what you plug in if you want to get credit. I give you the answers. You got to make sure you show that or I can't give you any credit for that. Okay? We need to talk about that. Okay. Do y'all have an answer yet?
No.
No, not yet? Okay. You're good. Okay. Let me get there and see if I can work through it and see if y'all get what I get. Okay. So we're at area equals 1/2 times height times base 1 plus base 2. So area is 177 equals 1/2 times the height is 13 times base 1 is 11 and we don't know base 2. So 177. Half of 13 would be 6.5. 11 plus 2. 5 both sides by 6.5. Someone grab your calculator or divide that. 177 divided by 6.5. You got to have 2 decimals because it's in the problem. 2 decimals. What was it? There's no way. I think that's what it is. It's something point something. So 177 divided by 6.5 would be 27.23
Yeah.
equals 11 plus B2, and then we minus 11, be 16.23 equals B2. Now, my answer's got 2 decimals. For my answer to go on the answer blank, I've got to round it back to 1 decimal. If you round that back to 1 decimal, what would that be? 16.2. Perfect. And that's what unit? Centimeters. Just plain old centimeters. Good. Now, our last 2 problems, just so you're clear on this, our last 2 problems are going to be just going forward ones. They're direct ones. However, they have 30, 60, 90, or 45, 45, 90 in them. And there are problems on here that require Pythagorean theorem, special right triangles on here. You're going to have to know those things to be able to do this assignment. So, here we go. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't ask. Is everybody done writing this one? Anybody still writing? Let me know, Jalen, when you're done. You're fine. Take your time. Give me a chance to know. One.
How do I make a fraction that takes this?
Absolutely. So type the fraction and hit equals. Like 1/2 is for 1 for fraction by 2, hit equals, and then second and the arrow. See right above the arrow it says FD, that means fraction to decimal. Yep. You're going to need it because you have to do that on homework. Yep, so that's a good question. Okay. Okay, here we go, guys. Last 2, 30, 60, 90 triangles, 45, 45, 90 triangles. We're in a rhombus right here. Inside of a rhombus, you know that the diagonals bisect each other. So if this one right here is 3, then this one up here is also going to be 3. This is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. We do not know the other diagonals, so we need to get pieces to be able to get to there. I currently have the short leg of a 30, 60, 90 and need to go to the long leg of that 30, 60, 90. What would I be multiplying by?
2. No.
Square root of 3. When you go over that right angle symbol, that's going to be the square root of 3 that you're multiplying by. Go ahead and grab your calculators because you need to know how to type this and know how to deal with this rounding because it's got a weird roundy thing in it and it's good to type it. 3 times 3 square root equals. You're going to see this 3 square root of 3 a lot, so it's a good one to like know how it rounds. I think it's 5.19 what? 6. So if it's 5.196, the 9 with the 6 after it would have to round up. But 1 up from that is 10. You carry that 1, makes it 5.2. Perfect. Y'all already knew, so y'all was good. Y'all were trying to tell me the whole time. That's awesome. 5.2. Now if this side is 5.2, then this side is also going to be 5.2. Which means when we do our diagonals all the way across, how long is the diagonal for the all the way across the top? 10.4. How long would the diagonal be all the way up and down? 6. Is everybody clear where I got those numbers? I'm just adding up the 3 and the 3, the 5.2 and the 5.2. Then we plug it into our formula. Our formula is area equals 1/2 times diagonal 1 times diagonal 2. Does not matter which one comes first. Guys, the 1 and 2, they're interchangeable. Doesn't matter. So, multiply that. 31-ish. 31.2 meters squared, because we are back to area. Back to area means back to meters squared. Does anybody see anything they need to ask about? Yeah. How to do it? Which part? The last part right here? Okay. Do 1 fraction button 2 times 6 times 10.4. And then hit equals at the end. Got it that time? Amen. Just hit a button wrong. Good. Thank you for asking. Anybody else? Okay, last one, guys. Listen, this one should be easy. You know 45, 45, 90s. What do you know about the legs in a 45, 45, 90? They have to be the same. So if this one is 5, this one's also got to be 5. And if this is a rhombus, then they're bisected. So if this is 5, this is also got to be. And if this is 5, this is also got to be. So beyond this being a rhombus, this is also a what? If the diagonals are the same, it's also a what? Square. It's also a square. Rhombus is just a square is just a special kind of rhombus. So right here, we have a diagonal that goes this way that is 10, and this way that is also 10. So area equals 1/2 times 10 times 10. You can do that on your calculator. Half of 10 is 5. 5 times 10 would be 50 meters squared. Okay, guys. So I'm going to take a second right now to go ahead and pass this around. Y'all go ahead and take yours out of the stack and pass it on. I'm going to send out the key at the end of the day. You can answer questions on this worksheet and the one we're giving back now tomorrow when you walk into class. I do want to give back the test though, so it's in your graded items section, because what are we doing tomorrow, guys? Folder check, and I want to make sure that everything is in your folder check, up to date and ready to go. So I'm going to pass this one out. I'm hole punch it so you don't have to all hole punch it. Just a second.
If
Okay.
I can use, I'll get my phone.